Alrighty, so I am currently eating my dinner with my chat, and we are just, happily tuning around, watching Gacha Smack's excellent analysis on the recent Pride Win Memory of Chaos. And he is at this point discussing DOT. Right? He is at this point discussing DOT and what exactly kind of went wrong with the DOT archetype. This brings me to the question, or rather the topic that I want to make today, which is the most underwhelming team in Honky Starbucks as of this current moment. And without further ado, let's get into today's content. Subscribe! Alrighty, let's stop beating around the bush. Let's stop beating around the bush. The most underwhelming team is the DOT team. That's it. Not unit, right? Not unit. The most underwhelming team. And here's why. Alright, here's why. Oh, by the way, this entire video is just a me yapping, alright? Because I'm going to TwitchCon soon. I want to cook up some video where I'm gone. So it's just a me yapping. Feel free to leave your comments down below. Subjective, purely. So agree or disagree. But let's just get on to it. Why do I feel that DOT is the most underwhelming team in Honky Starbucks right now, based on what we have right now? So let's state the facts. I want to first talk about what we have as of this current moment. Just to kind of briefly run down a little bit. Oh my god. Yo, by the way, this is my wife, chat. Isn't she so pretty? She's just so pretty. Alright, anyways. So the archetype we have for DOT as of this current moment, usually it is currently basically limited to Kafka, Blackswan. We still have Born a Huan. Alright, this is the best in slot DOT sustained currently. And for our last slot, you either do a toss-up between Runmei or Robin. Me personally, I found greater success with Robin, especially with the triple action value advance. It was very comfortable, better than Runmei. But they wouldn't change too much, right? So that is usually the quote-unquote best in slot DOT comments at this current moment. They did release Jiao Qiu, but at E0 Jiao Qiu, the damage coming from this is just way too low. The damage coming from this is just way too low. And I wouldn't replace Robin or Runmei for Jiao Qiu, me personally. Would I use Jiao Qiu to replace Blackswan and Kafka? I also wouldn't do that. But it could depend on the enemy weakness. So if the enemy is like resistant to wind and they have a fire weak, I can foresee a scenario where we can still run Kafka with Jiao Qiu. I think it's still not too bad. I think it's still possible. But that is generally sort of like the gist that we have in our current DOT setup, right? I'm talking about like pure E0 setup. So we're just going to ignore all the E2 and E1 investments. Purely from a baseline setup perspective, here's a fact for DOT. It's a little bit unfortunate that MiHoYo has not given us any form of additional support to DOT ever since patch 1.6, which was Runmei's patch, right? I don't think we've gotten a DOT support patch ever since we got the prisoner set. Alright, nothing really changed that much, because to be completely fair, this Glamorph set, it is not that crazy. As of this day and age, when you have like fucking defense down, crit value, this Glamorph 2-piece is not too crazy anymore. This 4-piece prisoner is definitely still really good, but we do need some, maybe hopefully we can get like a better 2-piece in the future. So that's gonna be that. But perhaps one of, if not the most important aspect as to why I think DOT is very underwhelming is because of the environment. The environment that we are facing. So what am I talking about right here? Let me lower this down a little bit. So, of course, we have the environmental buffs for Memory of Chaos. Sometimes they give us this, this DOT buffs, which will definitely improve our DOT damage if this is specifically tied to DOT. So it's gonna be great. But beyond Memory of Chaos buffs, there's one more thing which I think it will severely cripple DOT. The enemy. Or more specifically, the enemy speed. Now, if you guys have played the later story, Hu Lei I'm not sure if you guys know this. Hule has one of, if not the fastest speed right now in Honkai Star Wars. I'm not sure the exact number, but I'm pretty damn sure it's more than 200 speed. Beating our previous record of Decaying Shadows of 191, if I'm not mistaken. It is ridiculously fast. And not just Hule, we also even have mobs such as the Howling Casket, which goes into this moon rage, and it increases its speed as well. Enemies that become faster and faster, it will be kind of worse for DOT. You might think it's good, right? You might think it's good because the faster the enemies moves, that means the more frequently they can take damage from DOT. But it is bad because the mechanic for DOT team is not just for them to take turns, it is also for us to stack on our DOTs. Specifically, Blackswan's Arcana. If you want to compare E0 to the E0 Blackswan, Arcana at max that is infinitely more damaging compared to a Jiao Qiu's burn, right? So you also want to have an ability to generate the baseline before the enemy's moves, so they can do damage. Like if your enemy moves too far and you only got like, 2 or 3 sets of Arcana versus like 18 or 20 stacks, the difference is absolutely insane. So if the enemies start to get faster and faster, right? We've already seen this from the wolf, the machine wolf, as well as Hule. It will become increasingly difficult for Blackswan specifically to stack on the Arcana stacks, and then it makes it also more difficult for our Kafka to trigger set DOT, not just Blackswan. Because usually the enemies are slow, it means that if your Kafka can outspeed the enemy, your Kafka can trigger DOT like maybe more than one time, right? But if the enemies are too fast, all these are thrown out the window. And that would be quite difficult for DOT to come up with a way to kind of quote-unquote neutralize this problem. 2 ways: either you yourself become faster, or you have a way to make the DOT stay there, either permanently or for even a longer amount of time, right? A way for us to trigger and build up this DOT, which kind of brings me to the unfortunate truth about the landscape that we're getting. Based on the past couple of DPS, since Acheron, Facial, Firefly, I don't know what Rabbi is going to be, 3.x DPS, a lot of these archetypes that we have for this, quote-unquote new version of damage dealers, they are quite self-sufficient for the most part. Alright, Acheron, as long as you give her the debuffs, where's Acheron? As long as you give Acheron the debuffs, oh my god, she's naked. Okay, but yeah. It's not really that bad if the enemies move too fast, because the debuffs will be applied and you get slash streams and she's gonna do big PP damage. Firefly, Super Break, I don't really think we need to expand too much. Super Break, just Super Break. It's just ridiculously diabolical, so we don't really need to care about it that much. And then Facial, as you guys have seen from right now, the performance with her, Robin, Tobaz, Aventry is just absolutely insane. And even without Robin, even without Aventry, her personal damage is just so strong. It's to the point where she can still easily dispatch the enemies very, very quickly, right? So these are like our new DPS. Now ask yourself this: as a player entering into Honkai Star Wars right now, would you rather just invest in this quote-unquote new versions of DPS, or would you rather pull for either multiple DOT units, or if you have existing DOT units, pulling for their idlers to make them keep up with time? So this is where the answer becomes quite clear, that DOT, it is a little bit underwhelming, because not only do you need the investments, maybe for the idlers to even keep up, but there is also a chance that even with said investments, you could not specifically target the environment that we are heading towards in the future, with Hule, the wolf, and the enemies getting faster and faster and faster, right? There was this one enemy that was very, very good for DOT, which was the memory zone meme, right? The meme, the little cage. If there's DOT, the cage pops. But unfortunately, it was a mechanic that was easily skipped, even if you don't use DOT, because the fight itself was not that difficult, right? So we really have not had an environment, or like specifically an enemy mob, that makes DOT shine. Whereas every other team comp, we have gotten supports in terms of relics, in terms of new units, in terms of the buffs, debuffs, the MOC blessings, and the archetype of how damage is, performed in general. It has favored a lot in our recent 2.x DPS archetypes. I'm talking about Phase Out, Aircon, Firefly specifically, right? And to a certain extent, even Blue Hill, right? So this is why I think DOT, as of this day and age, it is pretty underwhelming. Now, there's no point to me yapping about this. What is the fix, though? What is the fix? This is also another problem, which I think is a little bit hard to quote-unquote balance out or make DOT catch up. Because your sustain slot and your support slot, usually they are kind of fixed, right? When team-wide energy attack buff, she's always going to be pretty good. Rame or Robin, team-wide buffs, res pam, additional attack, extra turn, they're always going to be very, very good. The only thing I can kind of foresee them drastically improving the entire DOT archetype as a whole is introducing another variant of DOT such as Jiao Qiu's Burn, but it has a multiplier that is not as shit as 180%. Unless you get his E2, right? We need some kind of a DOT unit that can act like a Black Swan, because Black Swan has her own debuffs, right? She has a defense down, the vulnerability, and if you get the E1, it's going to be a rare shred, on top of having absolutely diabolical multipliers on the DOT. So we need something like a Black Swan. If we have something like a Black Swan, she can fit into slot 3. So we can stack on Black Swan, the new DOT, and Kafka will trigger everything. This will make it very, very nice, right? That is one way we can go about it. Or a support that strictly makes DOT a lot better. What is something that could be done? An example. There is this unit in Genshin Impact called Nahida, right? Apparently, her C2, she could make DOT crit. And we have this exact blessing in Divergent Universe and Similar Universe. DOTs can crit. So if we can somehow get a support that is super dedicated for DOT, I'm not saying crit is the only way, but a way to greatly amplify DOT and DOT specifically, either through the build-up rate, like fucking anomaly, like in Xenosaga 0, the multipliers from every single DOT, how frequently can we trigger this DOT, or a way for the DOT to just stay on the enemy for longer, right? Maybe you make them uncleansable, maybe you make them last for one more turn, to kind of counteract the fact that the enemies are going faster. So we have a support like this, even if the support doesn't deal any DOT herself, I think it is still okay, right? So that is going to be another way that we can make DOT great again. One last way, and I hate to say this one last way, a better version of Huan Huan. Huan Huan is great, right? She has energy regeneration, she has attack. It's pretty good, she has cleanse. But we can still take this a step further if the sustain can also apply some kind of DOT slash buffs or debuffs. An excellent example, I think Aventrine is really, really like, he is him for follow-up. He is absolutely him because not only does he have the sustain, he has the crit damage vulnerability from the ultimate sources, he has a lot of follow-up occurrence as well from his talent, which means it will synergize with our team very, very frequently. On top of being very skill point positive. Where energy is good, the attack buff is good, but number one, she's not that skill point positive unless you get the E1. Number two, this talent specifically, it doesn't really, it's not a talent built for DOT. You get what I'm saying? Like, sure, Dispel and Heal is good, but there's a very general kit. They can kind of work with everyone. Okay, I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. But if we have maybe if we can have a sustain, like a talent, that could make DOT become amplified or take it to the next level, then it would pretty much swap over to Huan Huan's kit. It will be able to outperform Huan Huan, right? So those are some of the ways that we can make DOT great again, if I can say so myself. Overall, There are also some other contenders as to who is the most undervalued, or rather most underwhelming team comp. I have a couple of my mind. One is Mono Quantum. Mono Quantum, I would say, it is a very comfortable team comp. So I don't really think they're underwhelming in the sense of damage, but they're very, very comfortable, right? You can, even till this day, if you are like a beginner, you have a zero with this Mono Quantum, you can just force implant Quantum winners, and you should still be able to more or less clear the stage, right? It either will sell out or change it, or if they make out any other Quantum DPS come out in the future, you can just slap it on over here, and it's gonna be doing not too bad. Another team comp that's kind of underwhelming, but this is not really a team comp problem. It's a Blade. Because Blade's team is basically, slap on a Sparkle Bronya, and you run a sustain, right? Either that, or you can run in like a defense break, like a Pella. You can run, maybe you can run Jiaozhou's vulnerability, right? Maybe. Or any form of debuffs, right? But more or less, it's like a quote-unquote hyper carry Blade setup. So I don't really classify this as a viable, underwhelming team comp. Because this is literally just hyper carry, but it's just Blade. His multiplier is just a little bit low, right? That is pretty much most teams. I'm gonna ignore talking about the 4-stars. So yeah, I think that is pretty much the closing statements I have for the most underwhelming team comp in the Honkai Starbucks at this current moment. By the time this video goes out, I'm definitely gonna be in America, so I have no idea. Hell yeah, brother, right? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who do you think is the most underwhelming team comp at this current moment? And what can we do to fix this underwhelming team comp, right? Because there's no point complaining. Let's give some solutions. So, word over there is going to be milkers. Join Twitch, join YouTube, join Discord. All the best for a gacha boost. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.